Hey everyone, it's LS, and this is the KingZone versus Afreeca Game 2 of the LCK Spring 2018 playoffs. I'm joined today by Croissant, so let's get right into it. So,
Same as game 1.
yep. Swain being banned away.
Is this regular speed?
Oh, is it? Nice catch. Wouldn't want to watch this at normal speed. Alright. I love Oov.
So they ban out the Tom Kench this game.
Get out, Tom. KingZone's on blue side. First picking Sion. I don't mind that. Sion's interesting in that he's sort of like Gnar. He can have multi-purpose, even though traditionally he's just seen as a full-on tank. But he is quite flexible. Alistar gets picked by Afreeca. And Varus right away. So I like that. Do not mind it. Kai'Sa now getting picked up. And Morgana. The cleanse is interesting on Kuro. I guess that is maybe foretelling what he already wants to pick or what he intends to pick. I'm not entirely sure. Trundle picked up.
Last game. I'm not sure if that carries over though.
Oh, I thought they... Okay.
Yeah. The Nidalee ban again against Peanut. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't know if KingZone would have pulled it out, but KingZone did say after the series that they had a shit ton of comps that they didn't pull out against Afreeca. So.
Okay.
Innovate ban was interesting.
Innovate ban is very interesting. And, okay. So, Gnar being banned away, Maokai getting picked up. I don't like that. I don't mind it. When you have the Alistar, the Trundle, and the Maokai, you can just try to play on Varus, but then if you're going to do this, why isn't Varus just going to be a Kog'Maw? I know he's a little bit different, and Varus is a little bit more flexible in some spots, but I would imagine that Cog would probably just be a little bit better here. Sejuani and Cho'Gath being picked up now for KingZone. So I guess that's going to be mid-Sion. I mean, the interesting thing here is that Cho'Gath could also be flexed to mid in some of these spots. You could probably even do something super, super ghetto where Sion's support and Morgana's mid, but that's highly unlikely. And Galio gets picked up last. So, talk about the team compositions. So, this is all on Kai'Sa. It's all on Kai'Sa to deal the damage. And the Trundle is anti-tank. So, there's multiple targets for Trundle's ultimate. Maokai is obviously only serving the purpose to protect Varus. And Afreeca, I think, yet again, has a really nice team composition. The thing here is that Sion can't be moved from mid lane. So it's a little bit of a predicament for BDD, or not BDD, a little bit of a predicament for Kuro. However, when I'm thinking of the 2v2s and stuff, if Sejuani and Sion engage onto Galio and Trundle shows up, I don't think it ends that badly, especially if Galio already took too much damage, because I don't think that they can persist inside of the trade. If Trundle and Galio run into Sion and Sedge, I think it goes actually a little bit different. I think that Sion and Sedge can actually turn. So matching counter ganks, I think, for KingZone are stronger. And even proactive ganks, I think, are going to be stronger for them, at least in the mid lane matchup. When we look at the top lane matchup and you assume how Spirit is supposed to approach top lane with Keen on that Maokai, I think it's going to be really, really difficult against Khan on Cho'Gath in order to make ganks work up in top lane just because of the long extended route. And I'm not sure exactly how much Trundle likes his red side jungle, but I don't know if he should be pathing up that much anyway. So this means that Peanut can now play mid and bot centric, which is what I think that they want to do given the fact that BDD is on the mid Sion, who always wants to have priority on Kuro, on the Galio in mid, and then play around the Kai'Sa, who's going to be the primary win condition of the team. And then when we look at the bottom lane, I think Varus is the second best ADC in this spot. If you could change Varus for Cog in this spot, I think it would probably be actually better. But Varus by no means is necessarily a bad champion. Varus, like I said, I think he's the second best in this spot. So they have that going for them. I do think that if KingZone gets ahead, there's probably very little recovery that Afreeca has. Because I think that just pound for pound, their champions are being matched on base stats. So they can't sort of just rely on the utility and power, or like raw power of Galio, or raw power of Maokai to just sort of sustain and stall out for Varus and let the game scale. So I think in that regard, some of their fallbacks are stolen from them. And then also, one of the things here is this team does not have a great way to break into River from their red side jungle. So I think that KingZone, not even factoring in the blue side turtle inside of their blue side jungle, they actually can turtle River and have control over River, I think, a lot better than Afreeca can handle. And obviously, both sides, there's no split push utility. Although Cho'Gath can ultimate Banner of Command minions, right?
Yeah.
And insta-kill them. Okay, so even there's a little bit of a disadvantage, because obviously you can't Banner of Command if Sion's just going to match it because he deals physical damage. I think KingZone has a very, very good team composition, and if they get ahead, they win. I think if they're even, they're a little bit better off. But I think that if it goes really late, this team comp has an edge, for sure. If it goes really, really late, I think Afreeca's team comp has a massive edge. If Afreeca's team composition gets really, really, really ahead, I think the stall tactics of KingZone is actually stronger. So, like, I talked about how Afreeca's base stats on Maokai, base stats on Galio aren't going to be that efficient at stalling, and I say that primarily just because of the way that this team can penetrate into this one is a lot better than how this team can penetrate into this one. Absolutely. And that's just primarily because of the Morgana, because of the Sejuani, because of the Rupture, because of the poke that Sion can offer, etc. Varus doesn't offer that. Galio, yes, he offers it with his Q. Nothing else really offers that. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for me, I think.
Yeah.
All right, go?
Yep. Don't have anything to add other than I like the lane matchups, and I don't know how much played Cho'Gath this split, but we did see the frequent Cho'Gath bans in finals for NALCS, so let's see how it fares in Korea.
Korea seems already like meta is dramatically different.
Yeah.
Also, even just the solo queue meta is dramatically different when I've looked at streams and stuff. Even moving forward, I'm really excited to see what happens in MSI.
Yeah, I wish I could play more solo queue.
Tragic.
Just changing so fast. Let's see. Yeah, Galio went for the dematerializer because he knows that Sion's just gonna rush Banner.
Mm-hmm. Nothing really too excited happening. So Spirit is starting on his red side, and when you do start on the red side jungle, it obviously impacts what it means to re-wrap into top lane around level 4 and 5. And so that should be kept in mind, because it's really important to pay attention to Khan and Keen's lane state around level 3. Because that's, I mean, when Spirit, in theory, would be able to go back up to top lane. If he misses that opportunity, if top lane ever goes to level 6, I think barring Khan making some really, really big blunder, nothing can come from pathing top lane. And so I think that, in that regard, Spirit will be behind on the right-hand side of the map against Peanut.
So they've both done full clears, and Peanut got both scuttles.
Yep.
Spirit's pretty behind.
Spirit's really far, yeah. Not going to be able to make anything happen down here. Well, he's trying, but Morgana, pretty good champion.
Yep.
And anytime that Spirit tries to go for a gank like that and it backfires, it just sets them further back.
Yeah.
And if Afreeca's even, all is okay. But if they fall behind, like we said in Champ Select, things just are going to become a nightmare. Interesting that BDD is persisting on into the Banner of Command when he sees the Dematerializer. I would just imagine... Oh, I guess just get it out of the way. It's not a bad item by any means, and obviously you can get back to lane extremely quickly.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if he would go for a different item first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like what they're doing here. A really cute attempt. Okay. Spirit's finding himself in a little bit of a blank state right now. Can't get anything done. The lanes don't help him out. So we talked about top lane had one opening. Top lane's opening was anywhere between levels 3 and 5. And Spirit started red hand side jungle. So if Spirit starts red side jungle and he can path around, etc., maybe do scuttle crab, look for something bottom, recall, and then path into top, look for a gank top, and then path back into right, and then path back up to top. If he can do something like that and find pressure, he can get it. Anytime that top lane goes to level 6, it's on Khan to make a really, really big blunder in order for Afreeca to actually, in theory, be able to pull a gank off. Also, because of this, they can just devote like a pink ward here, this Baron brush, and they could have a pink ward here because Khan should at least always have mid lane priority, like not middle of the lane. Khan should always have control over any reset. Even if a reset occurs, Khan has control if a reset occurs, just because of the nature of the matchup. So then because of that, there is no universe where Afreeca should be able to coordinate a gank top lane without Tushin being able to help, but that should be able to be conveyed by KingZone that Tushin is missing. So with that being said, Spirit now has lost his entire left-hand side of the map, and Keen is now on an island, which means that they are now tunneled into having a reliance on teleport. The problem, though, then stems from the fact that Spirit fell behind in tempo on the river plays. So because he then falls behind in tempo, and then because the gank backfired down in bottom lane, Peanut gets very, very far ahead in camp advantage. And because he's ahead in camp advantage, and because his mid laner is ahead, and because his top laner is ahead, and because naturally bottom lane is extremely difficult to gank from this side, Afreeca is really far behind now. So the early jungle routes, we saw this in the SKT-KT series, when you have very bizarre and unusual top and mid dynamics, you need to do something to obstruct them. You need to have unusual openings. You need to do something to mix it up. You need to do something to conceal information, conceal routes, make it, more difficult to read. Because if Afreeca just plays a straight up game here, if those mistakes that we talked about don't end up occurring, Spirit will always play his half of the river, and then Peanut will always play his half. And if Afreeca go even in lane, then they're fine. But they're not going even in lane. And so because they're not going even in lane, and because Spirit can't do anything, because he's already made errors and he's fallen behind because of it, Afreeca is actually really, really far behind. So any micro disadvantage is a very large disadvantage due to the nature of the team compositions and the color. The Infernal Drake is also super, super big. I actually think that it's probably less big for Afreeca than it is for KingZone. And the only reason I say that is because I think that Kaisa probably benefits a little bit more than anyone else here. Maybe Trundle balances it out, but I mean, Maokai is, I guess, just going to benefit less than Cho. Trundle benefits more than Sedge, but that's whatever. I think Sion benefits more than Galio unless Galio ends up getting a lot of AP. And then I think Kai'Sa just benefits more than Varus, as weird as that is. And then Morgana is obviously benefiting more than Alistar. So the fact that they are behind in control in mid and bottom lane means that KingZone, in theory, with the aid from top lane, should be able to capture the Infernal Drake, which is even a further thorn in Afreeca's side. I think that's... yeah. Anything else?
I think that even if they go even in lane, they're still going to be behind on Afreeca's side. And I agree with everything else you said. I'm just interested in, I spaced out because I was thinking about, oh, why is Spirit building a Tiamat? He wants faster clear or something, but I just haven't seen it actually from most Trundles. So I think most people just rush the Cinder Hulk. But yeah, they are going to find it really hard to accomplish anything and play around the objectives.
I could understand the Tiamat if they had unusual openings and Spirit had control over Peanut's Raptor camps, or Wraith camp, whatever, from the get-go, and he wants to just play a power farming game, but I don't understand why he would go for the Tiamat when he's already so far behind.
Yeah.
After the opening stuff. Justin and Kramer almost picked something up there. Peanut's here now. They sniff it out. And it looks like Peanut's staying, and they're calling in Spirit. Yep. Wow, way too greedy. Wow, why? I like that, though. Using no CC as CC. You can tell that he's waiting to try to maybe dodge the ult, but Peanut identifies that he doesn't need to cast the ultimate. Because Kramer's just playing way too greedy. Not respecting this at all. Peanut doesn't even need flash to make this play. That's really, really, really sad.
Yeah, he just had to wait a little bit for Spirit to back him up.
Mm-hmm.
Drop 2 CS. So. When did Kramer come to Korea? Was he with Flash Wolves at any point, or is that someone else?
Kramer? Kramer's been in Korea for a long time.
Okay, I thought, for some reason I thought someone told me he played in LMS at one point.
He might have.
Yeah.
Twitch chat comments on how Peanut flashes, but my point is that he didn't need the flash to make the initial gap close.
Yeah, he just needs it because Spirit actually counters it.
He flashes out, but not to make the initial gank. The issue here... Wait, why did Galio go banner?
Sion, has... but just to match the mid lane pressure, but... I don't know, Sion has physical damage, but it still takes him a while to kill the banners.
Yeah. But I still just think it's probably bad. I don't know. I wonder if Afreeca's not well practiced against the Sion. I mean, we see a banner right here in mid lane and trying to help out Kuro, but Kuro is just so far behind in tempo and control. Everything just looks really, really ugly. The other problem is because Kai'Sa was able to get the pressure relief in bottom lane, and now she's doing really well, and mid and top lane we're already winning. I think that the game is really ugly now for Afreeca.
Yeah.
They should just capture Infernal here if they predict that. Oh, okay, they get the Scuttle Crab, and Khan gets the ward on Spirit's red side. So now if Spirit goes for that, they should probably just look to capitalize on Infernal Drake, and all would be well.
King go to clear it? Oh, King clears the red ward.
King clears the wards, yeah.
I appreciate Gorilla going for Swifties. That's pretty cool. Cool stuff.
Galliol comes in. So, I mean, we can watch this one more time, because this is actually nice for Afreeca. Khan's trying to just steal the Wraith camp. Ends up getting caught out. BDD tries to save him. It's not quite enough. So they invest a lot to make that happen, and then Afreeca ends up giving away a kill. And then the problem is that KingZone rotates quite fast. You can see that Kramer is really behind in priority and tempo in bottom lane. And Prey's just able to get there first, and then Gorilla's there as well. They're going to take down the mid-tier 1 turret. And now KingZone gets Infernal Drake. I gave 10 AD to Sedge. What? Was that 10? Yeah, I gave her 10. That's great. So Sejuani just got a longsword, which means Kai'Sa definitely got a lot more. Cho'Gath probably got a lot more. That was a very, very big dragon for them to pick up. Seeing the replay one more time. You can see just how much slower Varus is than Kai'Sa to arrive here.
Yeah.
And then obviously Kai'Sa's ultimate coming in handy a little bit. Get a lot of pressure. And KingZone is just super, super far ahead right now.
Oh man.
Dex a troll. Dex fucking trolling. KingZone, all that KingZone has to do now is let the game stall out a little bit. They can ride the Infernal Drake, capture the mountain, get the Herald. They should probably just make a play on the Herald right now. With the turret having already gone down, if KingZone just shoves out bottom lane and they recall with Peanut and then they bring their bottom lane up into top, they have control over the left-hand side of the map right now, and obviously they have priority in mid lane. You look to just force a fight at the Herald, you get the Herald, you have bottom lane up in top lane, you leave 4 members up in top, you summon the Herald, and you look to capture this turret and the economic tier 2 turret. And then you surrender bottom tier 1, which doesn't matter because there's no neutral objective on this side of the map, and then that means that whoever ends up being sent down into bottom lane, which is likely going to be Khan, picks up the wave that Kramer and Tushin are going to release into it. I think that's the macro play, and they obviously don't look like they're doing it right now. Or they're a little bit slow on doing it. We'll see if they path top. They don't. I think that's really bad. I think it's just really, really bad. Because there's so much opportunity to begin if they just made that rotational play. They force Afreeca to come to them. They force Afreeca to be on sides of the map that they don't want to be on. They force Afreeca to release the bottom tier 1 turret and basically give Khan a free lane and put their bottom lane in a very bizarre position because now they're being forced to defend their top tier 2 turret. Mid lane's going to be under constant pressure, and then what that means is that the bottom lane is now tied up in top lane around the time that the dragon setup is going to become important. And now we're seeing dive and shenanigans down in bottom, but the game's already over and it's 19 minutes. Is getting annihilated this game.
Yep. Really feel like they should have had a better answer to the Scion flex.
Does not seem like they were prepared for it.
Yeah, they blew their load in the KT series or something.
Mountain coming up now. And this is obviously a great pickup for KingZone. They're just going to have Prey solo it. And it should be really, really easy to capture Baron. Because with the Afreeca's team composition, we already talked about how they don't have a way of penetrating this right here. and they're not going to get any flanks. And even if they can get flanks, it's not going to matter. Because flanking this type of a team composition does not do anything except just get you melted. Because your front line does not DPS quick enough to threaten the sandwich. So with that being said, if you can just make Afreeca come into the river and take a straight up fight, the angles for Peanut and Khan are going to be way too advantageous, BDD as well, and then I think that Prey is just going to have a field day. So using Baron, or a Baron bait, like threatening to take it to demand that they come to you when you already have pressure and control in mid and bot lane, I think is the best play that KingZone can go for right now. Especially because they're going to light up Baron so quickly.
Yeah. Mikhail's rush from Gorilla. I just know that teams at MSI will have answers to Morgana, right? If Afreeca bans Tom Kench because it denies pick, or yeah, just pick potential, then they have to expect that Morgana is going to be priority. But yeah, this is the first game KingZone played Morgana the whole split, so.
MSI, I'm mostly interested in China versus Korea. I'm curious what happens there.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for NA to be exposed yet again. Because the NA train is a little bit high right now. And I think that this is the most excited I have been for a Korean team at an international event ever. Like, more excited than last year's Worlds, where, you know, Khan and Co were eliminated early. This is by far the most excited I've been.
Why are you excited?
I just think their level of play is better than last year. So I think that this lineup and roster is just so powerful. And I think that the way that the meta is right now, and the fact that a lot of their players are capable of going against it in order to gain advantages from doing so, is so nice. So I think that in a lot of ways, the meta right now is really strong for teams that are good at fundamentals. Because drafts, I think, are truthfully very basic right now. I think it's quite stale. Not that necessarily stale is a bad thing, but I think that fundamental gameplay is one of the most, or it is the most important it's been in a very, very, very long time. And so I think that this MSI will be really interesting because of that reason.
Yeah.
It's like we saw the Afreeca versus KingZone game 1. Mm-hmm. Afreeca had so many advantages, and KingZone's fundamental ability to play the game still showed that they were better than Afreeca, even though they lost.
They're just stuck. They're just so stuck. Too shin.
Well, we said
the engage.
This is likely going to happen from Champ Select.
Yeah.
If Afreeca falls behind, they have no way to stall at all. Mm-hmm. Because KingZone has turret breaking ability. Afreeca does not have the same kind of turret breaking ability. And the reason that I say that is, like, I think to spectators, you have Maokai with Pillar into Galio and Alistar knockup and, you know, tank turrets for days. The difference is that the CC from these three is more obnoxious. Yeah. It is a lot more obnoxious, and it's much more chainable. The other problem is silence.
Yeah.
So
much denial.
Silence
from Morgana
and
too.
also, yes, denial comes in from the support. So it is way more difficult for an Afreeca team that's ahead to penetrate this team comp than it is for this team comp to penetrate this one. And so you gave KingZone an inch, they took it a mile. And this all starts with the opening roots from Spirit, who basically looked just like Blank, fell really far behind, there was no recovering, and then his laners were individually losing out because the matchups, I mean, the matchups in themselves are brutal, but it's even worse when you don't have a jungler. We saw that in the SKT and KT series. Like, Faker not being able to get away without teleport on Swain because Blank was so far behind. Not because not having teleport on Swain is not something that you can do. Right? But you wouldn't hear that from fucking Twitter analyst. So stuff like that is really important to take into consideration. Were these lane matchups brutal? Absolutely. Does that mean that the jungler plays a key part in alleviating pressure and stress from the lane? Yes. But how does that happen when you handshake a neutral opening? It doesn't. You have to do what Score did in one of the games where you have a cheesy or a unorthodox opening in order to conceal information and make playing more difficult and make routing and pathing less predictable, so that Khan and BDD cannot play a traditional laning phase to simply just play around Spirit's paths. When you do that and you handshake it like this, yes, you're already losing top, you're losing mid, and now you're all in on bottom lane, and it's too hard for Kramer and Tushin to sort of give Spirit an opening. Red side Trundle is going to have the same exact approach path as a blue side Skarner to trying to gank this lane. It's not going to happen. So they end up losing. And then we're going to go into game 3. Is there anything else you want to touch on this game?
Nope.
Okay.